Good morning. I'm still not satisfied with this little stand I'm using. It blocks off the bottom part of my screen, but I don't think it blocks off the camera image, so I don't think you're seeing that at all. It's not, well, I don't think that's blocked on your view. I don't have my hearing aids in this morning. My ears are just screaming at me. I stayed up too late. I wore my hearing aids too long. I worked too hard on my hobbies, which at least this hobby was a constructive one. And I didn't get enough sleep, and my ears are just howling at me. The left one feels really, really bad. The tinnitus has always been coming and going in that one. And the right one's just roaring. Continue the prayers from my ears. They are getting better, but it looks like this is going to be taking a lot longer. It's going to be rougher. I don't want to hang out here anymore. It's going to get hot. I got to go get my motorhome worked on elsewhere, where I've already got appointments. I've already got deposits, and I can't get it worked on here. I've given up on this area for most services at this point. In my sleep, I was prompted to wake up, and some odd things going on. And I know that I pick up on this stuff, and it plays out in my mind or in my life sometimes, actually, not just in my mind. And what I can tell you is that we are on the verge of being annihilated. Anthony Blinken is not just incompetent. He's setting us up on purpose for his real keepers. He's not beholden to the American people. He's beholden to the Khazarian mafia. And they don't want to give up their worldwide control because they have a one world government right now. They've had it for a while. Ever since the coup, when they assassinated JFK, they've been running the show. And they tell you the truth in their Bibles. The Schofield Reference Study Bible, particularly the 1965 edition, which I've been hoping to get a hold of a copy. I had a chance to buy a standard copy for $50 a while back, and I was holding out for a large print, which is like about impossible to find. Why 1965? Well, they had murdered Kennedy already, and they felt nobody could stop them, and nobody has. And in the Schofield Reference Study Bible, particularly the book of Revelations, they titled some of the pages and some of the chapters. You know, it's a book in which they put everything in front of you because they want to know what you're supposed to think and what you're supposed to believe. They lie to you. Remember, it was produced by a committee of rabbis. Sam Untermeyer was the leader of this thing, and Sir Rothschild was the benefactor that paid everybody's salaries on this. And they published it, I think it was in 1917. Don't hold me to that. Could have been 1907, but I'm pretty sure it was 1917. It had more references in the footnotes, more middle references, more in the footnotes, and more on the sides than Bible text. And they lied. They told you that Moses was a Jew when there was no such thing as a Jew when Moses was alive. You see, the Jews, well, Judah hadn't even been born yet. And not only that, Israel, Jacob, who became Israel, hadn't been born yet. So there were no Israelites back then. So today they run the world. They are the synagogue of Satan, as the Bible says, as written by John the Apostle on the island of Patmos at approximately 80 years of age, as dictated by the one who loved him. He was the one that sat next to Yeshua around the table, leaned up there and had his head on Yeshua's chest while he ate his meals. Talk about a teacher's favorite pet, you know. Man, I like the book of John, and I at least heard the pastor say, I thought, man, I'm being a little bit ego, you know, it's my first name, right? No, you read the whole book of John. It's really the coolest book, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, if you want the new God, you want the gospel, which is a marginal term according to some perspectives and some people, but because it keeps you on their spell, on the Roman path, which I understand. And I know you want to say the old covenant's been done away with. Oh, hell no. Yeshua told us straight up, he came to fulfill every jot, every tittle. The law's not going to pass away. If that law passes away, baby, we are gone. That's what keeps us alive. I know you don't know that, but I do. Now you do. Yes, the moment those ordinances cease before Yahweh, the Israelites are gone forever. And that's what the evil ones are after. They want the whole thing. They want to destroy us. Yeah, it's just that simple. You know, what are friends for? What are half-brothers for? What are half-breeds, half-brothers for? What good are the sons of Eve, who actually were the sons of the serpent, compared to the sons of Adam, whom he had with Eve, who took after their father Adam, versus those that took after their father, the liar, the murderer from the beginning. It's all there. They couldn't take it all out of the Bible. By the time the seminaries came around in the 1850s, the seminaries, well, they had been taken over. All the Bible translators had been pretty much taken over as well, but we got one today, produced a Bible in 2015, got another copyright in 2019, and they didn't take him over. I thought he was gone. I'd been listening to him for a while thinking, come on, man, come on. And this last Sunday, I just sat there, and I never told him how proud I was and how much I endorsed what he was mining for and telling us about. No, he doesn't get it all right. He ain't perfect. But he gave us the truth so perfectly. Masterful. Very masterful. I'm going to soak up everything I can from that man. I'm not going to live that much longer beyond his lifespan, but I'm going to do what I can to use it all. And we are at war, baby. We are fighting for our lives and for the survival of Mother Earth. The earth groans for her saviors. There's an S at the beginning of that word and an S at the end of that word. It is not single. We're here on a mission. That mission is very exclusive. We are to establish the kingdom of heaven upon the earth. Oh, and by the way, the other species, it's okay if they help. It's okay if they participate. We need to invite them. We are to bless them. And here we are, a lot of us cursing them because they're being thrown at us to destroy at us. I do have a question from this weekend's, yesterday's study, and I stayed up for it all. I was very tired. Asher looks like they became Assyria. And there was a woman that was hunting me down on Facebook, an Israeli Defense Forces corporal, and laying down subterfuge that tried to misguide me because she was a member of the Ushery. And she told me that I was different and that I was one of those that they're supposed to serve because I'm one of those members of that race, if you will, class or subspecies, if you have to, that saves the planet. Maybe she told me the truth about that. I hope so. She was awfully cute and good looking in her pictures, but not that much. I mean, she was okay. Trusting about as she was on her fifth master, by the way. I guess at age 13 or 15, she was not betrothed, but she was committed to serving a master to get her freedom, if you will. And she was on her fifth one. I think she was like 23 or something. And I guess these men's wives got jealous of her because she was there to service them. And of course, how did I find out? Well, I invited her to lunch. Why not? We're talking. She's good looking. She's all the way across the country, Florida or over in the southeast, somewhere in the south. We're probably never going to meet anyway. And I wanted to talk with her because she was explaining things, I thought, about the Jewish people that I don't understand. Still don't understand. Now I think she was laying down subterfuge. She suckered in an attorney. He wanted to send her $500 out of the blue. I'm like, good God. And he said he thought that she was a COINTELPRO. Didn't think she was real because, I mean, he's offered to send $500 for the hell of it. What a gift. And he's a dumbass anyway. That's all I can say. Anyway. I was coming up with a unified theory, and I need to give you this stuff. And you need to understand this stuff because you need to understand how we are made in the likeness and image. And you need to understand how precious you are and how fragile that is. And how that can disappear and go away at any time. You also need to know that when you check out, you're going to have to pass through a few different worlds. And they ain't easy. I've been there many times. They're sons of a bitches. They're pissers. They're MFers. I mean, these are regions that are just fraught with danger. You aren't ready for that. I wasn't ready for that. And I don't want to go back there again. But you have to get past those levels of bullshit. There's about 3 of them before you get up to a higher heaven, if you will. Yes, there's a structure to it. There are worlds upon worlds, worlds within worlds. And Yahweh gives us this beautiful cortex. And most of the connections aren't excitatory. They're inhibitory. This is what distinguishes us from the others. We have more inhibitory connections, meaning we have more self-control or controls, period. But if we have an infarct, a little insult, mini stroke, disease, some tissue goes bad, or a little parasitic infection, or a little heavy metals, or a little mycotoxins from mold, black mold, or some other spores, or some other yeast sort of thing, then we suffer. And quite often, we have the most profound seizures because we have more. We don't have more cortical area than the evil ones. They have about 20-25% more volume. They don't have the same skull shape. It looks like the same from the outside, but the bones are sutured up differently. We have 2 parietal lobes, 2 bones. They got 1. That's right. It's a whole different species. That's why they're so subtle and so shrewd. And where do they predominate? Well, where did they come from? They came out of Egypt, from what I can tell. Babylon? Maybe. Egypt, for sure. Went into Israel, or what became Israel, too. So there's a little mix-up there, too, for us to sort out. That's why we got to judge ourselves first and hold ourselves accountable before we can do our duty and do our missions and serve properly, because we are the servant race. That's all there is to it. We're either the bond servants of the devils, or we're Yahweh's servants. Choose whom you will serve. Most of the connections are inhibitory, but with the other species, it's not so. This is why they have more problems. And they've also miscegenated with us to the point where they are pretty screwed up, and they're not homogeneous anymore. They're not consistent. There is a binomial two-peak bell-shaped curve for that one race in particular. Jensen published that book a long time ago, and he pissed a lot of people off. Because all the other races or species, it's one bell-shaped curve, one big hump, but these folks had two of them, two different peaks. One somewhere around 76, 82 full-scale IQ points, maybe 86 for genius among that population, and the other one was right up there with ours. Matter of fact, the females actually were pulling more than the men. That's not so among Yahweh's children, among Caucasoids. We men actually pull for a little bit more than the women do. However, the women usually get measured on language, which we can measure more accurately, and so we think they're brighter. And they also develop earlier because they're not inhibited by testosterone. Good things take time. A woman gets everything right out of the chute. She's ready to go age 17, 18. A man, he ain't even a man until he's at least 25. Probably stops developing the frontal lobes on a man. A male, Caucasian, stopped developing approximately age 36. So boys, it really was a good idea to have a law there saying you weren't allowed to marry without your parents' permission till you were age 25. That really saved a lot of our asses. I think that was the law in one of the states. I'd love to see it go back to that point because we do need to take our time. We do need protection. We do need to be valued. We do need respect. And society should give that to us. They should give us that extra protection. A woman, on the other hand, age 18, she's got all of her beauty. She's got everything going for her. And she's got her highest value. Age 17. Age 15, the native girls in Alaska are just beautiful. Age 17, they kind of peak. There's a rarity once in a while. It looks good past that. But the culture brings them down as well. I don't want to get into that. I don't want to get into racist crap. Open that can of worms. But you need to know something. Ladies, you are developed earlier, and you're given all of that for the purposes of being a mother, being for childbearing. You have extra chemical pathways. You have extra electrical pathways. There's more to you, and it's a balancing act. It ain't easy, and it's easily destroyed, which is what you're doing to yourself. I mean, I got a lady friend, and I'm not going to tell you too much, but her body counts as, she thinks it's okay, but I'm aware of what the scriptures say, what the old Vedic stuff says to a certain extent, secondhand, and also what the science, what little science that leaks out today. I'm aware of what it says. So once a woman hits 20 sexual partners, and that includes your one-night stands or quickies, she has a 17% chance that she is going to be able to pair off and stay with the next man. I don't like those odds. And ladies, you shouldn't either. But you're the ones that got hoodwinked. You're the ones that got talked into the trap. You're the ones that were deceived. You're the ones that screwed up. And you led Adam astray. Led him by the nose. No, Adam's not taking blame for that anymore. Our blame was we went along with you and we stayed with you. We had an option. We could have gotten a new wife. Creator Father Yahweh was offering that to us. He'd already done it before. Lily didn't work out very good. And now we have Eve, who cuckolded Adam. Do you know what cuckolding means? It means she had sex out of marriage, And if you've ever studied the cuckold bird, it drops its eggs in another bird's nest, so the other bird raises its young. So the serpent dropped his seed in Adam's nest. So Adam got stuck raising Cain. It should be a felony to commit paternal fraud in my nation. It should be a required mandatory punishment of 1 year felony, mandatory in the penitentiary with more years available. You cannot continue to write on 1/3 of the birth certificates the wrong man's name on purpose and do that to us. It is a fraud. It is a sin. It is a crime. Paternity tests must be mandatory. We need to hold these errant women into account. They're not going to come aboard on their own. Hell no. They got it made right now. The Queen of Heaven rules this place, baby. And you women that say if women ruled the planet, you already do. How do you like it? This is what happens when you're in charge. You are merciless, and you get more merciless. You get worse. You do not get better. Fathers need to take that to their daughters more. They need to spank and discipline their daughters more out of love. You're shaping that child. You're preparing her so she's going to be a suitable wife. And if you fail to do that, then you have no business asking anybody to take that bitch off your hands. You have failed as a man. You lose your man card. And fathers need to give their daughters in marriage. They need to be completely aware. And he can cry his ass all the way to the altar and all the way from it, from what I care. That's fine. But it's his job. And if he doesn't find her a suitable husband, then he doesn't give her. Women are not taken in marriage. It's stupid of us guys to think we're going to do that stuff. We need to go to the father and to the mother and the whole family and pass the muster. And if we don't pass the test, it might not be us, and they might be too ashamed and embarrassed to tell us that she's not up to par. And they might be saving our bacon, saving our asses. And in the event of a divorce, it should be automatic. The father gets full custody of the children, unless, of course, there's a problem with the man. That would be on an idiographic, individualistic basis. Otherwise, the policy should be men keep their children. We can't have children alone. We love more than women do, and we shape them. We civilize them. We build civilization. Women destroy civilization. It's just inherent in the subspecies. My college buddy kept saying women were a subspecies. He was a little light on the feathers and got on my nerves one too many times, but I know he cared for me, but I'm sorry, buddy. You know, your girlfriend appeals to me more than you do. What the hell's wrong with you? Yeah. There are mixes when it comes to homosexuality. There's gradients of it. It's not like all on or all off. There is that, but there's more in between than there is otherwise. And so you have to be flexible enough to accept that, because some of that is just flat out natural. Sorry, it's the way it is. I ain't saying it's right. It's screwed up and it's an abomination. They shouldn't be giving special rights and privileges over the rest of us. They shouldn't be allowed to destroy society, the institution of marriage, which isn't defined as a man and a woman, or our children, for which they should be put to death. You got your whatever it is reader hour? Oh yeah, You put me in charge? Oh, yeah, baby. I will find men who enjoy doing that stuff. I don't want to do it. I don't mind giving the order. I don't mind giving the sentence. I don't mind establishing the law. I don't mind upholding the law and making sure it's enforced. It's Yahweh's law. It's the law of life. We don't need all these prisons if we enforce Yahweh's law. I know those darn Quakers in Pennsylvania thought it was too harsh. So they're the ones that violated God's law 10 years after we started as a nation. They decided adultery, death was too harsh of a punishment. So they decided, we're going to give them 10 years in the stocks because we like to fool around too. We don't want to get killed for that. So we'll just take our chances and we'll just say 10 years. And, we can go let them out of the stocks at night, right? Or leave them in the stocks and... Sorry. I know that's a little on the sick side, but you need to be flexible and you need to have a sense of humor. Because this stuff is just so weird and so serious. Putin has warned us he's going to nuke us. Actually, he's going to nuke France first, most likely. Maybe Great Britain. He told them what he was going to nuke them over, and they have crossed those lines. I say we sit back and let him do that. They're tactical nukes. I don't want them going off at all. I don't want that pollution in the atmosphere. It's going to affect us all. But it is an existential threat, not just for Russia, but for all of us. These evil ones need to be put down. They run on the limbic brain, the reptilian brain. They do not have the image and likeness. They don't have the self-controls. Look at those jackasses like Blinken, Sullivan, Yellen. Do they show any self-control to you? Do they show any intellect or intelligence? No, they don't. And they're intent upon keeping this new world order in which the Khazarian mafia rules the whole thing. But we have been given a reprieve, and it's our job to put the dogs down, to take out the trash. And even the Jewish people at large are waking up to the problem. Oh, there goes the ear again. Yeah. The good figs are waking up to what the bad figs have been doing to them. Because whenever a good fig tries to do a proper political election, proper power, they murder him. The bad figs, they murder their own people. Read the transfer agreement by Edwin Black, a Jewish gentleman who wrote about how Adolf Hitler should rightly be considered the father of modern Israel. Let me repeat. Adolf Hitler should be considered the father of that modern, nefarious, illegal, son of a bitching bastard state that poses as Israel, also known as the fake Jews, mostly descended from the Ashkenazi. They're not all Ashkenazi at the problem by a long shot. There's just a subset in there, the spoilers, that hide. You know how they claim that the Palestinians and Hamas hides behind civilians? That's what the Israelis do. They hide behind civilians. And they're busy setting things up and projecting things on their enemy that they're guilty of doing. All the armies in the world are going to march upon Jerusalem. Nothing's going to stop them. Actually, Yahweh steps in at the end, and it's going to be kind of weird because people aren't expecting that one. But I don't want to be anywhere near there when that stuff happens because it's going to be blowing bad, man. It says it in the book. Half of the people will be killed. Half. Half of the people will go into captivity. Doesn't that sound like everybody? Yeah. However, then it says something that's a little contradictory. It doesn't say a remnant. It says a residue shall be left. A residue of what shall be left. Then Yahweh steps in like he did in the days of old and fights for them. Now, I'll be honest, I really want to see that. I really would like to be there for that. I've heard the stories. I'd love to see him in action. That's probably not my place. I'm not supposed to be that kind of a warrior. I'm supposed to be training up, guiding and judging and ruling this. And if this country goes down the way I think it will, then I got a heck of a future in front of me. I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to do no 4 frickin' years. When you get me, it's 2 years and that's it. Because time is all I got. I'd like to have a little bit of peace and quiet and enjoyment. So I will at some point step down and step out as fast as I can pass that on to some young buck who's got the strength and the fortitude and the blessing and the spirit to do it. When we age and our brains deteriorate, we lose some of these higher functions. The frontal cortex, judgment in particular, is one of the first to get knocked out, to get impaired. And most men don't recognize that when it occurs. And our personalities can change quite drastically then. So we do need each other to reflect upon each other and to look out for each other. We have to help one another to know when, hey man, you need a break. You're not quite right. You're off kilter. Because the deterioration does follow the lines of my buddy, Theodore Malone. It does follow under those lines. And so there are 2 pathways to death when it comes to personality destruction, brain destruction, loss of higher functions, loss of self, loss of likeness and image of Creator Father Yahweh. And it's a sad state, which is why I'm fighting as much as I can for my health. And I say I plan on going on my feet. That doesn't mean I plan on fighting anybody but myself and my own status. I want to go out clean. I started life dirty. I want to go out strong. I don't want to go out wired up, hooked up, laying down. I want to go out like a man. And I get to. Cool. I get to live for something. I get to stand for something. I was a coward most of my life, and I died all the damn time. I've had so many deaths, it's not funny when it comes to that. Wasn't a good family of origin for me. But I'm at a point now where I can tell you I kick a lot of ass. It's mostly my own. Oh well. Self-correction's a good idea. I've always enjoyed having lady friends, and I do mean friends to talk. There's something about that really appeals to me. Unfortunately, they enter the friend zone, and they get upset because they decide they want to change that, and it's like it becomes immutable. They get pissed off feeling like they're rejected, and they're not. They're actually loved in a very special way, but, you know, you can't please them all. And You can get to know somebody so well that you just can't live with them. You just can't be around them. You can care for them, but you got to have your own space. I guess I'm a confirmed bachelor. Legally, technically, I've never been married, but I joke, and I sent a text message to Tina. I said, Tina, my wife. Well, she was my wife for a little less than 24 hours. I had an apparition, approximately 1986, 1988. There was a knock at the door of my apartment. I remember the street, 1201 West, whatever the hell it was, in Spenard area, little one-bedroom efficiency. I went to the door, and there was a disheveled woman there, whom I could not recognize. Reminded me of a statue I saw in a cathedral in El Duomo in Florence. Yeah. A woman who was possessed with many demons. And she was there to accuse me. And she told me, don't you recognize me? I'm your wife. You put me out. And I looked at her, horrified, because I wouldn't wish that on anybody. But I also realized I was being set up, that it was a ploy by the enemy. The dog is upset. I needed to feed her earlier. She was upset, so I gave her a break. And I don't know what's going on with her. She's still in heat, and I can't give her any of this coconut oil. It seems like she's gotten sensitive to it. And so I started to give her the refined stuff, the expensive stuff. And I guess that's off the table too. So I got to give her some food and hope she can take care of herself in the kennel there. I don't like what we're going through right now. I'm tired of being on the spot brigade. I can't have her running freely. The tile grout is already a bit stained and dirty. I know when my buddy sees it, he'll have some tips on what to do. He'll probably want to re-grout it for me, but he won't have his gear. And heck, I'm a man. I can live with it the way it is, but it deserves to be taken good care of. So if he insists that we make arrangements, or I hire somebody else even, and he supervises it, well, Yahweh will bless me with the resources. I'm going to be leaving this to my brother anyway. My real, functional brother. He's going to love this rig. The world's fastest production RV line. And this is a very special coach. This was built for me. A little bit of an albatross. It's so expensive. And the guy took advantage of me. So I will be pursuing that. But I'm going to fix it up as best I can. Please buy my Bibles. I could use a little bit of income. If you want to see me in therapy, then encourage that, because I was going to start again before the hearing impairment. I was going to go back to Mississippi and relook at my training there and possibilities there, and also to Missouri, and to be able to do this wherever I am, actually. But the boards are all woke. They insist that I force people to do gender transitioning when that's not in their best interest, and that's not what they want. That's right. They'll take my license away if I fail to enforce the New World Order. So I'm going to go before the board, and they're probably going to want me to pay the fees before I even show up, and I might do that. But I'm going to chew their asses out face to face. I'm going to go toe to toe, and I'm going to tell them how errant they are. And if they don't have any respect for proper practicing, then I'm going to be making it very public so that people can sue that board and the state can withdraw their charter, like they should do on all of the medical licensing boards. They need their charters revoked. We don't go after the individual's licenses anymore. We just go after the licensing body, and we destroy that. we go after Command Central. Screw these quacks, these genociders, these guys that insist on lording it over us and playing God. They love to act like they're God. When people figure out what harm they've been done by these guys, some of them aren't going to be able to hide. Some people aren't going to give a rat's ass about murder charges on killing them. Same with the politicians. But I pray to God people will have the fortitude to at least go slowly enough to put it on tape so we can all see it, and do it the traditional way so it sends a message, and leave that body up all day long and even all night. Let it rot from the light post or the tree. We need to set an example. We need to enforce Yahweh's laws. I know, I don't really want to do it. It has to be done. Iron rod. He will rule with an iron rod. Smash the clay, the broken cisterns. They can't hold the Spirit. Their consciences are sealed. They cannot be corrected. They cannot be saved. To save them would be to be unjust and to cease to be holy. I know you Roman Catholics say Jesus can save anyone. Show me. Show me where that's in the scriptures. Show me where that's in the Bible. I know you don't read it because your priest is too busy telling you what to believe. I know you're good people. It's just kind of weird when you say, he's right there when you're doing that ceremony every time, and you call him down from heaven, and you do what? You crucify him again? That's kind of macabre, don't you think? I think you people should be released from that demonology. Yes, you're in the alternative Christ system, the antichrist system. You're in the corporation, the one world government, the three papal bulls by which they took over the whole planet through three giant frauds using their canon law, force of arms, cannons. Just like at the beginning of the War of 1812, the cannons are there for a reason. They're to let you know that you're under canon law. Not just the artillery, but that Church of the Antichrist law. You see that? That's my rank. I'm not going to furl it at you. There's a few chevrons in there. A few too many. I've been forced to fight too hard for too long. I don't get a retirement. I'm in his service. I have been since a little boy. Found out my little brother's been in his service at a younger age than I was. A year earlier. He's a weird dude. I'm a little strange. You and I have to admit, I think we can agree upon that. You know, it's a miracle that we have this life. We are suspended between these worlds. It is a frequency. It is an electromagnetic. It is a chemical. It is an incredible universe. And the evil ones are using frequency weapons against us. They've weaponized everything. So when we talk about the things that the physicians specifically ignore, we're forgetting about the frequency weapons. They forced those wonderful men to develop frequency weapons for them, and then they murdered them so that they wouldn't be able to talk. Yeah. Rife? Yeah. Another guy they did that to. I can't remember his name offhand. But they've weaponized everything. Ooh, baby, that tone just changed deeply. I kind of like that one. It's got a little brassy sound to it. The horns are blowing. The trumpets are blowing. The trumpets of war. The alarm. Yogi Bhajan heard the drums of war all the time. Oh, we just took the tone up. Tune me up, baby. Ain't gonna beam me up. There is no rapture and a sparing. I get to pay the full price. They lied about that dispensationalism. It was right out of the pit, part of your alternative Christianity, alternative Christ, or Christianity at large. Lorraine, was that you? That sounded like a ship's foghorn. Construction next door, maybe one of the trucks. No, my ears are not doing me much help right now. Please pray for me. I don't want to be isolated like this. Well, I think it was Beethoven who was deaf when he was conducting the Last Symphony. And they turned him around and he was still conducting. He was stone cold deaf. He didn't get along with Yahweh too well. He didn't go eagerly. He shook his fist at him. He lifted up off his deathbed to let him know he was upset. I wonder if Yahweh forgave him for that. Or was he actually in the middle of being taken by Yahweh that particular way? That was a big soul. Big flashlight when his parents came together and he was conceived. Big flash of light. May Yahweh bless. I'm going to enjoy my breakfast. I get to pump some iron today. And I get an infusion in my ear right after that. So it's going to be a long day. I have to mail a letter certified to the mayor of Apache Junction, hoping that he will do the right thing. And I have to craft up another letter to Justice Court, hoping that the judge there will do the right thing. But above all, whatever they do, I hope I will do the right thing. Because that's really all that matters. That's all I can control. I beg Yahweh to guide me, to give me the wherewithal. I got a little bit of ego, a little bit of spirit, I guess. It gets to be a problem. I'd love to be able to say my education ain't hurt me none. But it has. It was horrible, tough overcoming it. Now that's the truck next door backing up. Construction. I need to follow my own advice. I help others better than I help myself. Kind of a curse. Maybe you call it a blessing. At least those on my path get helped. But I get neglected. I don't like that much. I need to be able to soften myself up and accept some caring. But we didn't touch in my family. I'm hug phobic. You just don't do that. And I can't do it. It was just too weird. Some things will never change. Some things remain the same. Yahweh remains the same. The Word remains the same. The Logos remains the same. We change around that. We learn around that. It is a never-ending path of discovery of self and others. Enjoy the way, the truth, and the light.